Suffolk coast, close to the most easterly tip of England. A beautiful, stark landscape bounded by big seas and brooding skies. And beneath the waves lies a long-lost town. This is the beach at Dunwich, and Dunwich is now just a small hamlet just inland there. But it used to be a huge and vibrant medieval port. Most of those buildings are now underwater because this place became the victim of massive coastal erosion. I'm going to go and explore this underwater enigma. The town has a small museum which charts its history and its dramatic decline. This model shows the sheer scale of what was lost. It shows the town in around about the 13th century. And in 1286, a massive storm came along here and washed these cliffs away. And a chronicler wrote at the time that an intolerable multitude of men were overflowed and destroyed by the water. And over the centuries, the sea claimed more and more of this land. What was once a great medieval town is completely under the North Sea. Stuart Bacon is a marine archaeologist who's been studying the rise and fall of Dunwich all his professional life. So what kind of settlement was Dunwich at its height?
At its height, it was obviously a trading port. A lot of trading went on there, a lot of boat building, and everything was connected with the sea.
Just how important was Dunwich?
I regard it as a very important place. There are comparisons with London at the time. We're talking about 12th, 13th century.
The ruins of this monastery is pretty much all that's left of the town on dry ground. The rest of it is under the sea, and the water around here is famously murky, so it's always been hard to work out just what's out there. But now, for the first time, I've got access to military technology, which will give me the chance to peer through the gloom. Conditions are ideal today. The sea is calm, but underwater, visibility is still very poor.
That's the thing about this site, is that you can't see anything with your eyes. So what we have to do is we have to use a new technology, and this is state-of-the-art technology. It's called a Didson, and it's basically a sound video camera, if you like, and that's able to penetrate through the murkiness and reveal what's on the bottom. The really exciting thing about today is that this is the first time that Didson's been used for sort of non-wreck maritime archaeology.
Medieval maps suggest we're over the site of a 13th century chapel. But will we find anything? I've dived on wrecks before, I've dived on reefs before and caves, but I've never dived on a medieval settlement. I can't wait to see what's down there. When they said visibility was poor, they were right. But armed with the Didson, I went to work looking for traces of medieval Dunwich. It's not easy, though. These remains have been under the sea for hundreds of years, and the water has taken its toll on them. It's incredibly spooky. You just get these glimpses of buildings and what might have been walls. It's haunting. Underwater archaeology is like its on-land counterpart. Experts can draw huge amounts from what looks like insignificant rubble to the layman.
It is, isn't it?
Right, so what have I found?
Here we're seeing the ruins of a chapel on the seafloor. This was lost in about 1540, something like that, during a storm. And this is the first ever time this has been seen.
Now, thanks for being nice, but are you sure that's just not a big chunk of rock? Is that definitely man-made?
There are several pieces of information here that tell me it's man-made. We've got straight edges here. Local geology produces basically sands and gravels, and so great big chunks of rock like this aren't naturally occurring, so this is definitely man-made. I'm going to be sampling from this large chunk. Let's see what it's made of, bring it up to the surface, which we've done on other sites by just feeling them, and rather luckily we've brought up pieces of rock which have got mortar still attached to them, so we know for definite that it's man-made. It's brilliant.
This will change underwater archaeology. It will revolutionise it, won't it?
Absolutely. There is so much of our coastline and other coastlines where you've got poor visibility and you've just not been able to get at the ruins, if you like, or get at the wrecks. Here, you've got it.
Now, Dan's with us. Some beautiful shots there, Dan. None of them of what you said that you were going to find, though.
that was an underwater Atlantis. That was a whole thing.
Where was it? I was expecting it to be like Pompeii down there.
You have to be specially trained to really see that.
Why is it so murky down there?
It's so murky, like lots of the other parts of the UK, because we just live on this little rocky outcrop off Europe with the massive North Atlantic smashing into us some of the most powerful tides anywhere in the world, some of the areas like that where the geology means that the silt is really kicked up. And so, although we wish it was like the Red Sea, it isn't, and it's actually very murky. But there's a whole team of people there that actually enjoy it. They prefer diving in nil-vis, conditions.
Yeah. Decent excuse, that. Decent excuse.
And good effort on your part. But Dunwich isn't the only place, is it, on the coast that's been lost to sea?
No, I mean, this island, as I say, is battered by storms and tides that just rip. There's one here off the coast of Devon. It's called Hall Sands. And there's a reconstruction of a huge storm in the late 19th century and one in the early 20th century as well, which totally destroyed it. The government actually dug away a lot of the gravel, so the protection had been removed. And as a result, the village just slowly got washed away. But it's happening at the moment. It happens on the Humber. It happens down the New Forest. It's happening all over the country. And there's also a place in Wales called Cenffig, quite near Port Talbot, which in a similar way, there's a castle there that sort of sticks up above this mound. In fact, you can see it here. And under all those other bumps, it's basically sand dunes that have completely overwhelmed this settlement as the wind has blasted these sand dunes and the tide has pushed them further inland. So we live in a very dynamic island. It will look completely different in 1,000 years' time.